Push starts like we used in the 60s are seldom used except on special occasions such as a parade. Most of the time, it is necessary to condense the procedures where a crowd of people can gather safely. For these occasions, I saw possibilities to make the procedure a simpler, less expensive experience. Since vintage nitro cars use electric starters, my system is not that much different, except that it employs two starters. One starter, reverse rotation, is for clearing the engine of dangerous puddles of nitro in the cylinders. The starters can be activated remotely or by the person in the driver's seat. This system has been working flawlessly for 2 years. I call this system Twin Spin. Let me explain how it works. First of all, you won't see anyone pushing a cart full of batteries up to the front of the engine because we use two small motorcycle batteries tucked under the differential and out of sight. They are connected to produce either 12 or 24 volts. You won't see a crewman with a long-handled ratchet or breaker bar connecting to the blower pulley to purge the engine of any unwanted nitro. This is now done when the driver pushes the right side button and the counterclockwise starter rotates the engine in reverse to perform the same operation as did the crewman with the long bottle. You won't see a crewman with a primer bottle squirting starter fluid into the injector as part of the starting process because the second middle button activates an electric pump that draws from a small onboard alcohol supply tank. This action sends alky up through the clear hose into the injector. A 3-second button push equates to approximately 3 squirts from the squeeze bottle. The left button activates the clockwise starter that fires the engine, using only the primer fuel. The vacuum in the injector hat continues to pull alcohol through that same priming line right through the stopped electric pump. This alcohol flow continues running the engine until its passage is closed, simultaneously when the nitro valve is pushed to open. This action then runs the engine on nitro only. Important to note here is that the electricity for all operations is only available when contact is made by a sensor when the car is in neutral. In other words, no electricity flows unless the drive line is disconnected. There you have it, an electric starter for clearing old nitro from the cylinders and a one-man controlled fuel and starter system. And I'd like to share with you a close-up look at my new system that we call it Twin Spin because there's two starter motors involved. One turns clockwise, the other turns counterclockwise. Let me point them out to you. First of all, we start with a block plate. Now it's 24 inches square so that the car builder, when he gets it, can scalp the outside to the body formation that he's already has or whatever. When it's all done, it may end up looking like this with all the holes in it that they need to have. Basically, what we have, though, when we send it out is the main bolts for the engine, the 51 to 57 Chrysler 392. We have the dowel bolts, or the dowel holes, and the bolts that are next to them so that it holds the block plate onto the block while all the rest of them are out of place. Now, on the left side of the engine, we have a clockwise starter. This is the main starter that starts the engine. On the right side is the same kind of starter, but it's modified to turn backwards, counterclockwise. Why would we want to turn it counterclockwise? Because just like the crew chief does, or the crew, when they put a big breaker bar on the front of the engine, they turn it over backwards where it has no compression strokes to it. And they do it that way so that if there's any residual nitromethane liquid lying in the cylinders from previous running, it'll come out without any compression and it'll go out the exhaust zoomies and drip out the bottom. We don't want to compress liquid, especially if it's nitromethane. It can be very, very volatile. Now, let me take a minute and put a flywheel in its place and demonstrate to you how each starter motor plays its action on going forward and backwards. Okay, now we've put up an 11-inch long clutch flywheel, steel flywheel at that, and we've put it in place so that we can demonstrate how when we touch the juice to the starter on the right side, which is a counterclockwise starter, the engine will run backwards. It should run in this direction, and from the front, that's counterclockwise. Gets all the nitro out of the cylinders and makes it ready to start. Terry, you want to hit the button? You can see how it runs there on 12 volt. We want to hit the button on the left side starter, which is the clockwise starter, the one that's used for starting the engine in reality. Terry, hit the button. You can see it rotating this way from the front. That's its clockwise position for starting. Now I've set the bell housing in place surrounding the flywheel and the two starters, and I'm going to hit the left starter, the clockwise starter, the one that starts the engine, again, so you can see that everything is clearing inside and nothing needs to be modified to make anybody's bell housing work. Terry? If you want to see this demonstrated, watch Facebook for the locations that we're going to be at where we can fire up and you can see this beautiful starting system firsthand. Thank you.